Sloth Uni, welcome in. It finally happened. It finally happened. We were talking about it literally last week. We were talking about it last week. The downfall and the end of the Chiefs is finally here. It's a sad day for many, and I know a lot of y'all are probably celebrating right now because it genuinely could not have gotten worse for the Chiefs. Like, not only did they miss the playoffs, they got bounced out of the playoffs for the first time in a decade. But Patrick Mahomes also tore not only his ACL, but his LCL. So he'll need 2 surgeries before he even comes back onto the field next year. ACL, it would have been okay, like maybe he'll miss like the first 4 weeks, if anything, because the ACL recoveries have been getting a lot better. But he literally just got surgery for his it was either his LCL or his ACL, one of those. I saw he got surgery, but I can't remember which one for. But usually you generally try to wait for the swelling to go down before going in for surgery. But if you tear multiple ligaments, you more than likely need surgery immediately before swelling even starts in order to get surgery or rest up and then get surgery again. So, I mean, he's going to have a long road back to recovery. If anything, I think he will miss the first... I think he'll miss the first 6 weeks. I mean, he's a competitor. He'll probably try to get back early. But, again, I'm genuinely curious how the Chiefs treat this rebuild, retool, this new era of the Chiefs that we're really going to be going into. Because they're not going to have their quarterback for the first section of the season, more than likely, because I doubt he'll be ready. He's not going to be ready for week 1. If he is, then they're rushing him back way too soon. And also, before we even go into everybody who was watching the Chiefs, this felt like something that was inevitable to happen, especially with how much he was running this year. He was taking way too many hits early on. He was being way too reckless. And I think he was just trying to carry too much of the load. And all the hits just started adding up, and we got what inevitably happened to be torn ACL and LCL. But I'm very curious to see how the Chiefs actually maneuver their way into this next year, because this is probably going to be the first time that they're going to be naturally picking from a high spot in a long time. I know the most popular pick for the Chiefs to get is running back Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. And I think they could go that route as well, but this offensive line draft is just so deep that they could really just go like full rebuild and start putting people on a chopping block, trading center, and just like fully restructure the team while Mahomes is healing up. I really am curious to see how they do things, because honestly, like their season is over. Like, even if Mahomes' injury wasn't as bad, like the second you saw Gardner Minshew come out there and start throwing passes, you were like, yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it. And I know the Chiefs front office was just looking like, yeah, we're going to need a backup quarterback next year. So I would love to see like maybe Davis Mills go in for the Chiefs, because they have, in my opinion, they have the offensive weapons at wide receiver. I think they just need to build their running back group a lot more, and build up the defense more, because Chris Jones is going to be there forever. Travis Kelce, this is more than likely Travis Kelce's last year, and build back up the defense. Steve Spagnuolo more than likely is going to still be there next year. There's going to be a lot of head coaching vacancies coming up this year. We're going to talk about that a little later. I mean, you saw in the title, but I doubt Steve Spagnuolo is going to get a head coaching gig, even though he deserves one. But the Chiefs' defense is kind of underperformed this year, and I doubt that he'll really get a lot of head coaching buzz. So they'll more than likely be able to keep their coaching core together. Even though, in my opinion, I feel like they need to get rid of their offensive coordinator. But that's neither here nor there. Big Red loves his guys, and that's one of his guys. So I keep saying it, but the Chiefs have never been in a situation like this in a long time. Even during the transition from Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes, they were already playoff ready. They were a playoff team. And Patrick Mahomes literally just took the reins of an already good team. They traded up to go get Patrick Mahomes. They weren't already in position to get Patrick Mahomes. They already had pieces ready. They had a good team. They had a good base when they had Patrick Mahomes. So they haven't been in a position where they literally were bad enough to miss the playoffs and needed to actually like rebuild their team in a long time. So this is gonna be almost like a new avenue for all the Chiefs front office, at least for the Chiefs. I'm sure there's people in their front office who have been part of rebuilds, but this is very reminiscent to the first time the Patriots actually did their restructure when they missed the playoffs, and they were like, okay, stuff needs to change, and they literally just like changed the whole dynamic of their team. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about Justin Jefferson going to the Chiefs. I don't think that's gonna happen, honestly. Like, now listen, if crazier things have happened, genuinely crazier things have happened, but I think that he's gonna give it one more year with the Vikings, and if 9 is not him, even though he's been looking better. If 9 does not show any growth, then I think that JJ might be out the door. Not McCarthy. I'm talking about Jettas. But the Chiefs are really done. The Chiefs are really done. I knew I felt it in my bones that it was gonna happen. Like I felt it in my spirit, but I just couldn't root for that to happen or truly believe for that to happen. But enough about the Chiefs. They're almost irrelevant at this point. Not irrelevant, but there's no need to talk about the Chiefs too much. What we really are getting into is there's going to be so many heads rolling on this head coaching. Like there's going to be a lot of head coaches heads rolling. I made a list of all the people who I'm like at least 80% sure are getting fired. And we have 6 head coaches who I think are not going to be coaching their team next year. Starting off with Aaron Glenn of the Jets. Honestly, there's going to be a lot of people who say Aaron Glenn deserves a second chance because the Jets were a bad team, yes. But he chose to link his coaching career to the arm of Justin Fields. He chose this life. They didn't have to go, he wasn't already on the team. They didn't have to go out and get him. He chose this life of the Justin Fields life, and they spent a lot of money to go get him, and he ended up getting benched because of performance. So it's not like this Jets team has been overperforming for what they are. This is a roster that had a lot of talent, and they quite literally underperformed disgustingly, even with all the talent they had. Yes, the quarterback situation isn't as good as it could be, but look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers have been doing for years. They haven't had a top flight quarterback since even Aaron Rodgers. I feel like at this point in his career isn't a top flight quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but he's not a top flight quarterback. And they haven't had a top flight quarterback since Big Ben was there. But they've consistently been winning. I mean, I know it takes time, but even his clock management, there's a lot of things about Aaron Glenn that I'm just like, yeah, I just don't see it. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets do give him another chance, but I do feel like there's a lot of things stacked against him to where he could be a one and done coach with this team. And I think there's just too much going against him. Like they haven't looked like a well-coached team. There's a lot of players who look like they've given up. I mean, they've literally tanked out the season. Even when you watch him in press conferences, he seems like he himself is just like kind of tuned out some of the times, and it's it's a little sad to watch. But I mean, as a Jets hater, I'm always praying on their downfall. So listen, I can hate on the Patriots, the Jets, and the Bills. That because they're in division. That's all. That's the only teams I'm gonna hate on. Even though, honestly, if there was because I love all 32 teams. If there was really a team that I would say that I really just don't like in the league, it's probably the Jets. Honestly, it's probably the Jets. Their fans are delusional. Their fans are annoying, and their team sucks. Their front office sucks. Their team, it's just honestly, I really don't like the Jets. Don't get me wrong. I love some players on the Jets. I like some players on the Jets. I like a lot of players on the Jets. Love Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. I mean, I wasn't a big Sauce Gardner fan, but Quinnen Williams. There's a good amount of people on the Jets that there's a lot of people on their offensive line that are some dogs. Also, they're almost their whole running back crew is tough. There's so much talent on the Jets, and they've just been underperforming so much. So Aaron Glenn, chop and block, buddy. This next one, a lot of people have been calling, in the fan base, have been calling for this man's job, Kevin Stefanski. And don't get me wrong, I like Kevin Stefanski, but I do think that his time with the Browns is I think it's just spin. I think they just need a new look altogether. I think they need to just completely just burn it to the ground and start from ground one. And I don't think they're gonna completely do that because they will more than likely keep Deshaun Watson, and they're more than likely gonna keep the 2 rookie quarterbacks that they drafted. So the quarterback room is more than likely going to be the same. Quinshon Judkins still going to be there. I think the core base of the team is still going to be there, but they're just going to reform the team. And Kevin Stefanski, while I still do think he is a good coach, it's he hasn't been coaching up to the caliber that we've seen him do in years past this year. And the team has just been consistently bad for so long that I think his time is just done. You don't get an infinite amount of tries in the NFL. You get 2 years maybe, and after 2 years you're on the hot seat. 3rd year it's all right, what are you gonna do? 4th year, then it's okay, how long is? Hey Siri, when did Kevin Stefanski get hired by the Browns? (2020). So it would have been 5 years. It would have been 5 years. Wow. Yeah. His time is done. His time is done. Or at least 6 years. Yeah, because it'll be 2026 next year. So yeah, his time is up. Pinhead, your time is up, brother. You really, there's been so much wrong with the Browns that there hasn't been enough right for him to keep his job. So he's another one who I think, no matter how good of no matter how much success he's had in the past, it's a what have you done for me lately league, and lately things have not been good with Kevin Stefanski. Next up, this one might not come to a shocker to a lot of you, but especially after the way that the Dolphins performed in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, Mike McDaniel. Now, don't get me wrong. If he finishes out the year and gets 9 wins, there's a possibility he still keeps his job. But I from what I saw with how they played against the Steelers, I think it'll be tough for them to get 9 wins, because I don't think they can beat the Buccaneers, especially with the Buccaneers needing a win to get into the play or to win the division. I don't think they're going to beat a motivated Buccaneers team. They might be able to beat the Bengals, especially since Joe Burrow seems like he's kind of just given up and has lost his love for the game. It'll be interesting to see how he bounces back from that. But the Bengals might be a win, but then they have the Patriots last. So unless the Patriots bench their starters, I think they can win that game. But at that point, it's like you played against backups. So it'll really depend on how they play against the Buccaneers and the Bengals on if Mike McDaniel keeps his job. But truthfully, I feel like the Dolphins owner is too old and does not want to really deal with another rebuild. So he's given Mike McDaniel a lot of leeway. But if Mike McDaniel loses 2 of the next 3 games, there's no way he keeps his job. There's absolutely zero way he keeps his job. Don't get me wrong. I like the guy. But he's been doing it's a too little too late. Like, I love that they finally switched to a run heavy team. I've been begging and pleading I've literally been on my knees begging and pleading every single year since Tua was drafted. Don't get me wrong, I like Tua. But I always thought that he would be best in a run heavy scheme, base it off of play action, RPO, and then let him carve up the defense once they're already committed to the run. You would damn near be unstoppable. And it took them so long. It took them 5 years to finally commit to the run. That's actually absurd. So and even in the final game, he didn't even commit to the run, even though it was working. Don't get me. Yes, I understand they were down. What was it, 14-3? But you can come back for that. You can come back from that. And then after that, it was 21-3, I believe. So even still, like once they got down big, the absolute lack of intensity and hurry up in the game, they felt like they didn't even want to win. It felt like they weren't trying to win, and that they were just trying to save face in a way, or just make things look good towards the end. And that's not really what you want from your team. So honestly, I feel like from how they're probably going to end the season, Mike McDaniel is more than likely gone. Next up, this one, it's honestly, it's long due. These next 2 really are long due. They're long past. The expiration date is already passed. Like, they should have been gone. They should have been gone. Zach Taylor and Jonathan Gannon. Brothers, listen. It's time, okay? Look, Zach Taylor, you had a nice run, but you're probably gonna be the scapegoat for Joe Burrow's loss of love for football, and they're gonna need to bring in somebody who can really revitalize his spirit. And you're not the guy. I'm sorry. Like, the Bengals are literally tied to T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow. They're not tied to you. And with how poorly they started off, yes, I know he didn't have Joe Burrow for the majority of this season, but at this point, it doesn't matter. Like, it does not matter at this point, because you've started off slow literally every single year. You battled to get into the playoffs, and the 1 year that you actually made a run, you made it all the way there, and you crumbled. And it's and you haven't even been able to closely even try to replicate that. You haven't gotten your team off to a really good start, and it's the wins in September and October that really define your season. And I know people always say the late games are the ones that, it's the early games that really set you up for success and give you a little bit of cushion just in case anything happens. Yes, you want to go on a run late in the season, but you can go on a run late in the season and still have 1 or 2 losses. Because if you go on a run early in the season and then maybe kind of stumble a little bit, you have enough cushion to stumble and then go on a run. And he's giving them no cushion. He's giving them no cushion. Like, I don't know if he will get another coaching look immediately. I feel like Kevin Stefanski might get another look. Mike McDaniel will probably get another look. Aaron Glenn probably not. Aaron Glenn might he's back to being a coordinator. Zach Taylor more than likely back to being a coordinator, but I think he might just take a year off, honestly, because I know that these past few years with the Bengals have been stressful. I know they've been so stressful. But on to Jonathan Gannon. I was never a fan of him in the first place, but things with the Cardinals have been bad. They've been bad for a long time. And albeit things are not all his fault, but he's literally shown absolutely nothing to be retained. Like, absolutely nothing. I think that the Cardinals are a team that they will actually burn everything to the ground, trade Kyler Murray. They might even go see what they can get from Marvin Harrison Jr. Like they might just tear everything down and just literally start from the beginning. Like they might even start tearing down their front office. Like things need to change in Arizona, and I think it's gonna happen fast. We have one more coach. We have a few more, but one more coach who I truly think I'm like the 70% sure is gonna get fired. Raheem Morris, brother. Yeah. It's time, man. It's time, man. Your time is up, brother. This Falcons team is too talented. They are way too talented to be this bad. And part of it does lie on you. And when you think about, it's crazy because all the head coaches, like, you know, you think of the head coaches whose specialty is offense. Their offense looks good, or their offense is what they can hang their hat on. Head coaches who specialize in defense, their defense looks good, and that's what they can hang their hat on. Raheem Morris is a defensive-minded head coach, but whenever you think of the Falcons, you don't think of their defense being good. You think of their offense being good, and that's something he has. He's not part of the offense, and it's like, what are you really doing over there? Like, if your defense looks bad, isn't that something that you should really like kind of want to own in on? And it's not the fact that they've looked bad; it's just that they haven't looked good. And they haven't looked horrible. They've been middle of the pack, and that's not really something you can hang your hat on. And their offense hasn't even been elite, but they have so many pieces around them that they should be elite. And it's so many things on the Falcons just don't make sense. So I know it's early. He's been a head coach for 2 years, but he hasn't shown enough to warrant keeping his job. And I genuinely think that he's done poorly enough with clock management and just allowing his coordinators to scuff game plans. I think he will be on his way out. Chopping block, sir. Chopping block. These two, or these next few, these are the spicy takes. These are the spicy takes. Because it is Tinfoil Tuesday. So I think that we need a little tinfoil hat. We need a little tinfoil hat stuff going on. There's been rumors floating around that there's an AFC North coach who is on their way out. And I have two, and they're talking about a long time, well-respected, really good AFC North coach, which that only leaves two people, in my opinion. Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, who both of which I can see wanting their way out. I think that, this is purely speculation, but either one of them could really find their way out if one of these teams doesn't make the playoffs, which one of them isn't going to make the playoffs, but I think the coach who will find their way out is the team that doesn't make the playoffs. So if Mike Tomlin does not make the playoffs, I think he might just mutually part ways with the Steelers. There's been a lot of buzz with Ben Roethlisberger talking about it. There's been a lot of buzz from the fans talking about it. There's been a lot of buzz in the media talking about it for years. So Mike Tomlin is my personal choice, where I think he might just be like, okay, guys, like, things aren't working, I think it's time to part ways. Same with just John Harbaugh is in a very similar situation. But I think that with how the Ravens had kind of rallied, even though they sputtered off a bit, I think that the Ravens could really still end up making the playoffs. And the Steelers might be the odd man out. They might be the odd man out. But out of those two, I think it'll probably be Mike Tomlin who makes their way out. But one of those two I don't think is going to be coaching for that team, for either one of their teams next year. And this next one is going to lead us into our next and last topic. Sean McDermott. Now, level with me. I don't think Sean McDermott is on the hot seat, even though there's been a lot of speculation about it. But I think that with the AFC being so weak, especially this year, it's like don't get me wrong, the Bills are part of the AFC being weak. This isn't the strongest Bills team we've seen, but they by far, especially if the Ravens don't make the playoffs, they by far have the most experience as a team in the playoffs. So it's like you're not going to see. This is Josh Allen's first time not seeing Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow's not going to be there. Lamar Jackson might not be there. So it's like this might be your only chance as the Bills and Josh Allen to go and get a ring. And I think that if they don't make a real run to go get a ring, that this might just be the end of Sean McDermott. That's a spicy take. That's a real spicy take. But that one is like that one is spicy. But that was why I ain't gonna do that one again. I ain't gonna do that again. But like, am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong? I truly feel like if the Bills don't make a run, this probably is like their only chance. Because think about it this way. Say the Bills get outed by the Jaguars. They're going to be looking like, you really just let Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars just bounce us from the playoffs? Are we serious? Like, if Drake May and the Patriots, like, this is his first time in the playoffs, and we just got bounced by him in the playoffs. What are we doing here? Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Like, don't get me wrong. All of these teams could possibly beat the Bills, but the Bills have the most playoff experience as a team out of all of them, and this is they should be motivated, because once you see Patrick Mahomes is 100% not going to be in the playoffs, this is like, okay, playoff Josh Allen is a real thing. We've seen it. Josh Allen, take over. Go be Superman, because go be the Superman we know you can be. Sean McDermott, I know the defense has been struggling against the run. That's what really scares me, because especially in the playoffs, teams really focus more on the run game, and that might be their Achilles heel. And it really hurts to say. It really not hurts me. I'm not Bills fan. But Josh Allen might just have an open path to the Super Bowl for the first time, and I don't think they're going to be able to capitalize on it. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills literally just go on a run, because they are capable of doing it. Because like, you saw it with this last Patriots game. That's what they're best at. Like, even when they were down 21-0 in the first quarter, or at least the first half. It might have been the first quarter, but probably the first half. Like, that we would have been having a totally different conversation should they have lost that game. And this is the reason why people fear them so much, because they're never completely out of games. They can literally just come back in a moment's notice, because Josh Allen anybody who says that Josh Allen isn't the second best quarterback in the league right after Patrick Mahomes, they're just fooling themselves, because there aren't many quarterbacks, if any, who can do the things that he can do and really just completely take over a team. And he's been doing it without having a solid number one wide receiver for so long. And that's what's really keeping this team back from being truly great. I know they had Stephon Diggs, and he was what they were saying part of the reason he wanted targets, blah, 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 blah. But not having an actual guy that you can go to in situations when things get tough is what's really been holding this offense back. I think they're gonna try to go and get one this year because they've tried for the past 2 years. They've tried for the past 2 years, and it hasn't really worked out. And their offense hasn't looked the same. So I genuinely think they will try to go out and get a wide receiver, but they have enough pieces offensively to try to make a run for the Super Bowl. And Josh Allen he's capable of doing it. So that's really all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will be back again this week with some more